Hi, welcome to Bedtime Stories with OPL. I'm Miss Beth. Grab your favorite stuffy, get comfy, and let's get ready for a story.
How's it going, Max? Bark! You ready for a bedtime story?
Bark, bark.
Alright, let me see what I got here. What about Jack and the Beanstalk?
Bark, 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 bark.
You like that one?
Bark.
Alright. Let's see. Once upon a time, in the days of long ago, there lived a poor widow who had a son called Jack. She was a kind mother, but Jack was an idle boy who hated work and never did any if he could help it. So they grew poorer and poorer until at last all they had left was their old cow, Suki, and she no longer gave them any milk. "Oh, Jack," cried the widow, "how I wish you would find some work to do. We have no money left, and now I fear we must sell Suki. This is market day, so take her to town and see how much you can get for her." Jack was very proud to be trusted, so he set off at once, leading the cow by the halter. But he had not gone far before he met a strange old man with a sack on his back. "Good morning, my lad," said the old fellow. "Where are you going to this fine day?" "I'm going to market to sell my cow," said Jack very grandly. "Well then, you need go no further," said the old man. Then he put down his sack and felt in his pockets and brought out 5 strange-looking beans.
Bark.
"Do you see these beans?" he said, holding them out in his hand. "You can have them in exchange for the cow."
Bark. 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 Bark.
That doesn't seem very fruity.
Bark.
"Do you think I would sell my cow for a handful of beans?" asked Jack. "Ah, but they're no ordinary beans," answered the old man. "They are magic ones, and if you plant them tonight, they will grow as high as the sky by tomorrow morning." "You don't say," said Jack, his eyes growing round with wonder. "Why then, I will certainly give you the cow for the magic beans." So the old man took the cow, and Jack ran home as fast as he could, happily rattling the beans in his pocket. "Mother, mother," he cried when she came to the door to meet him. "See, I have sold Suki for these wonderful beans." And he showed her his handful with great pride. "What?" said the widow. "Why did I ever trust you?" And she snatched the beans out of Jack's hand and threw them out the window into the garden. "Off to bed," she cried. "No supper for you tonight."
Bark, bark.
I don't think I'd like going to bed without supper, do you?
Bark, bark, bark.
She sat down by the fireside, and throwing her apron over her head, she sobbed with grief and exasperation.
Bark.
Jack lay in bed upstairs, and he sobbed too. He was sorry he had annoyed his mother, and he felt very hungry as well. But by and by he fell asleep and slept till it was quite late next morning. When he awoke, his little room looked so strange and shady. He could not think where he was or what was the matter. Only 1 or 2 dancing sunbeams had struggled through the window as it was blocked by a screen of cool green leaves and pale sweet-scented blossoms. He jumped up and tried to look out, but could see nothing. So he dressed quickly and ran downstairs and into the garden. "Oh, oh, oh!" he cried in great surprise, for there, just outside the window, where his mother had thrown the magic beans, there grew a mighty beanstalk, reaching towards the sky, so high that its top was hidden in the clouds.
Bark.
I didn't think that would happen, did you?
Bark.
Without waiting one moment, Jack began to climb. Up, up, up he went, past treetops and clouds, higher and higher, until at last he reached the blue sky and stepped from the top of the beanstalk onto a long, straight, white road. Now Jack began to feel very hungry, for he had no supper the night before, so he ran along the road, hoping to find some breakfast. He had not run far when, to his joy, he came to a large castle, where a very large woman was standing at the door. "Good morning," said Jack, politely taking off his cap. "Will you be so kind as to give me some breakfast?" "You had better run away as fast as you can unless you want to be turned into breakfast yourself," said the woman. "My husband is a giant, and his favorite breakfast is little boys fried on toast."
Bark, bark, no, bark.
I think Jack should go home. Maybe he'll go home. "Oh, please, Mrs. Giant, give me something to eat and hide me when your husband comes home," said Jack, for he felt too hungry and too tired to go any further. The giant's wife was a very good-natured woman, so she took Jack in and gave him some bread and milk. But he had scarcely taken 2 mouthfuls when, thump, 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 he heard the giant walking down the road. The woman snatched Jack up and hid him in the oven, and at that very moment the giant came in, roaring at the top of his voice, "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he living or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread." I don't like this giant very much.
Bark, bark.
"Nonsense," said his wife. "You're always smelling Englishmen and upsetting the whole house. Do sit down quietly and have your breakfast. There's no one here." So the giant sat down, grumbling still, and he was so cross that he had no appetite and could only eat 2 boiled sheep and 6 yards of French roll. Then he ordered his wife to clear the table and bring out his bags of gold.
What?
And there he sat counting his gold until he grew sleepy. Soon he began to snore so loudly that the people in the world below said to one another, "Dear me, what a dreadful thunderstorm!" That is really loud.
Bark, bark.
Then Jack softly opened the oven door and slipped quietly out. But as he passed the giant's chair, he snatched up one of the bags of gold and ran off with it down the straight white road as fast as his legs could carry him. As soon as he reached the top of the beanstalk, he climbed down through the green leaves, down, 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 through the fleecy white clouds, swinging from leaf to leaf, till he reached his own little garden again. "See what I have brought you from the top of the beanstalk," he cried to his mother, and then he poured out all the gold to the kitchen floor. The poor widow was very glad to see her son again, and now there was money enough to buy all they needed. So long as the gold lasted, all went well. But when the bag was nearly empty, Jack made up his mind to climb the beanstalk once more to see what he could find in the giant's castle. He did not tell his mother what he meant to do. He slipped out of the house very early one morning and climbed up the same way which he had gone before. Up, up, up he went, till the clouds lay far below, and he reached the top of the beanstalk and stepped onto the straight white road. Then he ran along until he came to the giant's castle. The end.
Bark,
You
bark, bark.
You don't like that ending?
Bark, bark.
Well, it doesn't end there. But we'll read the rest of it tomorrow night. How's that sound?
Bark, bark.
All right. You ready to go sleep?
Bark, bark.
All right. Good night, Beth.
Bark, bark.
I hope you enjoyed our story tonight. We have these great stories and lots more like them at the library. Come find out where your imagination can take you. I'll see you next time. Sweet dreams!